Patrick, thanks for doing this.
No, of course.
Really
Anytime.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Whatever helps. Whatever helps raise more capital, right?
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
All right, looks like we've got quite a few attendees rolling in. So we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this exciting webinar to prepare for the National Day of Giving coming up this November. I am Beth Roszinski. I'm the Marketing Campaign Manager for NCEA, and I'll be facilitating this webinar today. Just a few housekeeping notes as people are filtering in. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to go ahead and type them in the Q&A window, and we'll leave time at the end to go over any questions. Today's webinar, Ignite Success, will help you master this year's Day of Giving, whether your school has participated in the past or if this is your first year. We have an awesome group of people presenting today. First, we're going to have Margaret Kaplow. She is NCEA's Communications Manager, and she's going to introduce us to the Catholic Schools Week marketing kit and how it can help your school. Then we have a special guest from one of our Catholic schools, Patrick Tiernan, the principal of St. Mary Magdalene in Delaware. And his school had a very successful Day of Giving last year, so he's going to share some tips and tricks for us all. After that, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of National Day of Giving presented by Emily Sutherland, the team lead of value-added services at Fax Management. This information is going to be vital to your school's participation in National Day of Giving, and it's going to set the stage for your school to collect donations. Before we begin, let's start in a quick prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. O Christ, our teacher, we thank you for the gift of Catholic schools, where the message of your life, death, and resurrection is proclaimed, discipleship is modeled, worship of you is cultivated, and community is experienced. Increase our zeal for ensuring that all students and children and families can benefit from an authentic Catholic education, and that Catholic schools grow in their ability to nurture the souls and form the minds of its students for generations to come. We ask all this in your name. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we will get started. All right, let's put on our childlike hats for 1 second and just imagine the energy of one day. A day that unites students, parents, teachers, and community members for one shared purpose, our Catholic schools. Imagine the urgency and the call to action that propels your community to give, contribute, and know that they are truly making a difference in our schools. The style of a one-day event encourages maximum participation, but the right marketing must be in place in order to take full advantage of the opportunity. The celebration of National Day of Giving, or NDOG as we refer to it, is not only a celebration of the funds and the money raised, but it's also a celebration of the Catholic spirit of togetherness that make our schools so extraordinary. I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Margaret, and she'll give us a little bit more about the details of those marketing tactics that we can use to promote our schools, both pre and post this day. Margaret, go ahead and take it away. You're on mute, Mark.
Oh, I hate that I did that. Okay. So this day, along with being such a great fundraising day of giving, does help build relationships with your donors. And this is your current donors, hopefully your future donors. So we hope that once we've gotten through the Day of Giving, that you'll continue to cultivate the long-term relationships with your donors and supporters. So, I don't want to totally read everything that's here, but in some ways I'm not sure how to not do that. So I'm going to. So finding the most clever ways to do this is key. And when I say clever, I really mean what you really need to do is engage every channel you have beginning with your website. You'd be surprised how many times I talk to somebody and I say, you know, did you put that on your website? And they're like, oh no, I totally forgot about the website. And I get that because they're more concerned with social media and texting and maybe even sending information home to parents and to local businesses. But anyway, once the day of giving is done and you really do want to get back with your donors and to find the best ways to do that, you know, so thank you notes from students, photos of students, thanking them in social media call outs. Again, your website sliders, you know, and a lot of times too, I hear from schools that say, I completely forget about the parish bulletin. And I know because that's hard because sometimes the bulletins are actually outsourced. And so they may not be thinking about that right up front. But the other thing that I need to remind everybody about is who are your donors? You know, so we say here, it's your alumni, it's your current families, it's let those families talk to other families, the vendors for your school, you know, who the guy who fills the Coke machine, although maybe there aren't Coke machines anymore, but juice machines, you know, your local businesses, the parishioners, they're all going to be your donors. And being able to tell your story, throughout the campaign, whether it's with videos, you can also just be posting how much money you're making. We have schools that post how much money they were bringing in, like hour by hour, or maybe, you know, at breakfast time, lunchtime, and snack time, we were making this amount of money. You know, filming or doing videos of how the students are reacting when they find things out. So the other thing I want to really point out to everybody is our marketing kit. We have a marketing kit that is incredibly extensive. And I can't emphasize enough to you how much it will help make the promoting your day of giving that much easier. We tried literally to think of everything we could to put in the marketing kit so that, especially in the tools and template part, all you literally have to do is put your school's name in there or how much money you raised. And it's just got so much information that is easy to use, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So let me move right on here. Identifying the needs of your school. This can actually be a lot of fun. So if you explore what you're looking for, you know, so say you need new basketball uniforms, you know, I say play around with this, and you can do things like specifically promote on your channels, social media or whatever. You know, one new uniform costs $75. So we're up to, you know, $150, we've got two new uniforms in hand. And I feel like that it's kind of fun. It's good for the donors to see that kind of thing. Or, you know, a set of new beakers for the chemistry class is, you know, $48. And now we've got, you know, 3 new sets of beakers for the classroom. So, you know, again, it's just a way of trying to make fun and make it interesting for the donors to see. And it's also fun for the schools because this is, you know, it is being done during Discover Catholic Schools Week, which isn't as celebratory as the National Catholic Schools Week in January, but we still have a lot of schools that play around with it, and, you know, they wear funny clothes or they wear their pajamas. And these are, again, all the photos that you can put online so that donors can see what's going on in your school. The other thing is, if you tailor the fundraising ideas to match your values and principles. So I know one of the things, so my parish is Holy Trinity, and their mission statement is, at Holy Trinity School, we welcome all to the Jesuit Catholic traditions of educational excellence, the service of faith, and the promotion of justice. So if you put that online, or if you put that somewhere, and then you say, you know what, true to our mission statement, what we want to do is earmark 40% of our day of giving proceeds to go toward tuition subsidies, because we say we want to welcome all. We don't want to turn anybody away because they can't afford the tuition here at Holy Trinity. So again, the tools and templates section of the Catholic Schools Week, and it's also a year-round marketing kit. It doesn't only have to be used at during Catholic Schools Week, is really the best place to go. We literally have developed social media posts. Again, you just put your school name in and you've got social media posts. There's postcards. We have planning guides. There's sample flyers and emails, and these all have the logo. It has the theme, around Catholic Schools Week, which is, as well as the Day of Giving, specifically the Day of Giving, Many Gifts, One Nation, a Day of Giving. And again, you just have to drop in your school's name or maybe how much money you want to raise. And that is going to get you so much more attention and hopefully, really increase the interest level. And again, that's in the tools and templates part of the marketing kit. And I think we've got some samples, some of these. Yeah. So this is just a letter to the donors, and again, you can see right there that, dear donor, want to take a few minutes and thank you for giving to, and then you drop in your school name. You can say how much money. So this is just one example. There's several of these. There's some that you would send out in advance. There's some that you could send out, the week of, and then these are thank you letters to the people who have actually helped fundraise for your school. I think we've got one more. Yeah, so here again, this is just announcing, tomorrow is the Day of Giving to Catholic schools, and to give to our Catholic school students, it all starts here. So this is a great program or campaign, really, that FACTS put together, and we like the photos. We like how the students are all in motion, and hopefully it's the most inviting thing for your donors. So please use the Catholic Schools Week and year-round marketing kit for everything that you want to do. You'd be surprised at how much work goes into it. So we want to make sure everybody's using it and we can say, it was worth it. It was totally worth it.
Great. Thank you so much, Margaret. And I do want to emphasize the fact that we put a lot of hard work, especially Margaret put a lot of hard work into this kit. So it would just, make our hearts so full of gratitude. Were you able to use them, and were you able to generate more donations using it? With that, we're going to pass it over to Mr. Patrick Tiernan, one of our member school principals, who's going to talk a little bit about his success in the past.
Yeah, thanks, Beth, and thanks, Margaret, for that. I would, if I could put in, I guess, a follow-up plug, I would say that those templates and resources they're great. What NCA provides, and again, keep it simple, right? And whenever you can add water and stir to something like this, we all benefit. So I think I would say that when Beth talks about my success, I think I would change maybe the pronouns, and really it's our success, right? And as was mentioned earlier, Day of Givings are really powerful appeal times for many nonprofits, right? Many of us are familiar maybe with Giving Tuesday or other programs like that. For Catholic schools, though, especially in the fall, I think where it's at in the calendar year is important because it naturally leads into the end of the calendar year. So it's a nice segue where even if you don't capture a donor's gift in that time, you can do follow up, going into December, end of the year. So I just wanted to mention that. But I would say that when you're compelling a Day of Giving campaign, you're really trying to think, and this is like the 30,000 foot view, right? You're really trying to think about what it means to cultivate a culture of philanthropy in your community. And if there are any administrators, right, or diocesan people on this webinar or watching this later on, you might think, great, this is one other thing I have to do, right? This is one other thing on my plate. School's just started, now I need to raise money. But I just want to share maybe some examples that maybe kind of take a little bit of the edge off of that, because in many ways it's simpler, I think, than most people think. Fundraising development and Catholic schools and teaching they're about relationships, right? We're building relationships, albeit in different ways. And I think that's important to remember. So this culture of philanthropy is all about being infused with gratitude and personalism. I say personalism in a very Catholic way to say that this is about meeting people, in this sense, meeting donors where they're at. What are donors looking for? What are donors looking to help? We know this from COVID, for example. Everyone wanted to do something during that time, right? When the pandemic was really at its peak. And so I would say that while this is about an ask, when you look at fundraising, it has their report, thanking and asking. The ask piece, if you're drawing a Venn diagram, is actually kind of a relatively small part of it. You really want to think about how you're reporting before and after. Margaret did a great overview of looking at, what are your school's needs and how do you market that? The thanking piece, the stewardship afterwards. Those are really two other pieces that relate to the ask, because it makes that financial piece that much easier. Because your donors don't just want to hear from you when they're looking for a donation, right? They want to hear where that gift's going to, reporting back on how well it went. And that in turn begins to build that culture of philanthropy. But I do want to begin by mentioning that it is a really kind of a long-term process, right? To be really successful, this is truly a year-round, multi-year project. But again, the day of campaign can really be really a flashpoint for many schools. And so you want to think of your materials in the vein of, from that perspective of the donor, where am I in the story? How are your donors able to look at the narrative, the story that you're crafting for your school and say, I have a role in this? Great example of this is we've all seen the big checks, right? You see the big checks, the donation, the gifts from your alma mater. And what's interesting about that is that while it's great to celebrate maybe those big gifts or the big announcements, what is the messaging to your other donors? They don't need my help, right? Oh, they already made their total. They don't need my $50 gift. They don't need my little gift. So you also want to make sure that you're mindful of the fact that you want to meet your donors where they're at, whether it's $1, $5, or maybe more of a major gift towards your campaign. But you always want to think of it just like in the classroom from, where is your student in the story? Where is your donor in the story as you're crafting your message? And so language is absolutely crucial. One of the things, this is a good thing to look at even with your own website or through facts if you're developing your own giving page, is you want to have as little friction as possible, right? And by that, I mean, sometimes you go to a site, nonprofit, a charity, and you have to click through 4 different things to get to the giving page. And then the nonprofit maybe wants all this information. You're going to lose people, right? So you want to make it as seamless as possible. And you really want to focus on the graphics. We're very visual world. And so you want to be mindful of your copy, your text, make sure it's clear, it's crisp, but not too much, right? Like an appeal letter, you want to have skimmability. You want to be able to look at it, get the message, get the case for support, have the call to action, and obviously, hopefully have it result in a gift. And so that language, because of you, right, we were able to do this. Powerful words, right? You did this, right? Second person can be critical, right? You are not doing your job, or you are not helping. But when you phrase it in terms of philanthropy, it's very helpful because of you, not your gift, because of you, right? We are able to give, say, every child is able to work with a laptop or an iPad or whatever it might be. One of the lines I like to use, and I borrowed this, was, you are a champion of our mission. I just it should give you chills, right? It should be emotional. It should create that feeling in you. And so when you think of communication channels, you have to look at direct mail, social media, email, text. Most nonprofits, most of their gifts, right, will still come primarily from direct mail. Now, maybe they got a text, or maybe they saw it on your social media account, but that's your direct mail. There's a whole another webinar we can do on direct mail alone, right? And so how you do that, we would send, for example, 6x9 postcards, which are a little bit bigger, right? But it has that, it's kind of sticky, and not literally, but it's whoa, what's this, right? Your school's colors, your school's brand, nice postcard, maybe QR code, visual, message. This is our goal, in addition to everything else that we're doing, right? So you want to communicate with people on all those fronts, in terms of the communication channels. Because again, like we know, not everyone's on Facebook, not everyone wants a text, and certainly when you look at email, a lot of email is getting flagged maybe in people's spam folder. But you also have to be patient in realizing that it takes about 7 to 10 reminders for most people when it comes to marketing, right? So you don't, and there's a lot of data to back this up, that even in the number of asks you do or reminders during the year, you're more likely than not going to upset your donors. People rarely are going to say, stop contacting me for this, because we all need those reminders visually, electronically. And so it's important to remember that you want to hit on all those communication channels. One thing that's been really successful for us is match gifts. And by that, I mean, you might have, if you have a school board or even your faculty, if you said, if we get, if then statements, if we get to $5,000, we will have a match gift of another $5,000, right? So there's a natural kind of synergy or energy moving people up to these threshold points. And then that triggers the gift, right? People might be making that gift already. That's great. But on the back end, it creates more of that energy, gets people excited. Our last day of giving, we actually had a few people say, I made a second gift just so we could get you over that hump, right? Get you past that point. Because again, the visual piece, and FACTS and NCA do a great job with this, the visual piece of it also drives people, right? You see the, whether it's a thermometer rising or just that number increasing, all that continues to kind of build that energy within your community. So again, like I mentioned, you want to make sure that giving page is, kind of clean, crisp, simple. The visuals, you want to kind of captivate that messaging. And schools, and our schools already have a compelling message, right? We talk about value of education, the value of a Catholic education, all those things. You have that buy-in in many ways already, which is nice. You're not typically having to reintroduce your mission or your school to your community. And so I would just say that, your day of giving appeal, it should create excitement. I always say giving away your money doesn't make sense, right? It's not rational to give away your money. People give because there's an emotional connection. And that's not manipulative. There's a lot of data behind when you think about psychological triggers and copywriting, things that evoke feelings, emotions. You want to tap into that as you look at your community. And again, everyone here knows their own community best, but you want to make sure that your copy, your visuals are speaking to that, whether it's hope, right? It very well might speak to anxiety, and you want to be mindful about that. But these are all natural human feelings that we're just tapping into. And so you want to empower your community through something like a Day of Giving campaign. And I say wedding analogy because, the day of your wedding is a blast. It's fun, right? You should be celebrating. But the real work comes before the wedding day and after the wedding day, right? And your Day of Giving campaign, the real work is leading up to that day. And the real work is the stewardship and the follow-up in the days, months to come afterwards. Because your day of giving, the actual day, I always set it up and I always tell my team, we should have won the game before we even go out on the field, right? We should have the gifts lined up. We should know people are going to give. We should already have some prior gifts ready to go, and we log those in during the day. But the whole point is that you're not truly crossing your fingers that day and hoping you hit your goal. You should already have that momentum built up so that the day of, you can highlight students, you can highlight teachers, right? Give those testimonials. But again, on the backside, a lot of times you have a great campaign and there's no follow-up. And so your donors are left wondering, did they meet their goal? Did I help out? Are we gonna do this again? When do I get thanked? And so that's the follow-up, the stewardship piece, and the continued cultivation that's important as well. So the Day of Giving, absolutely vital. Hopefully this was some kind of quick examples that might be helpful for you, but also think about the prior and the post that are just as vital, because that's only going to lead you to a more successful campaign the next year.
Thank you, Patrick. Much appreciated. Yeah, from a marketing standpoint, we cannot emphasize enough how important it is to really connect with your donors and even people who are not current donors, your community as a whole emotionally, right? Really playing into emphasizing, why do they go to Catholic school, right? Why are they part of this community? And really using that to remind them that we wouldn't be our Catholic school without them and without their support and without their help. So Patrick, that was really great and hopefully helpful to many people. Again, guys, if you have any questions, just feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. But first, we're going to kick it over to Emily from FACS, and she's going to go into a little bit of the actual logistics of Day of Giving, setting up your portal, setting up your appeal page, and things like that. So Emily, go ahead, take it away.
Thanks, Beth. And I will be honest and say, Patrick and I just met today, but he could not have set me up any better if we had planned our presentations together. So I actually wrote down a couple of things that he said that I want to make sure I point out where you guys can add those things in as you're setting up your appeal pages. I'm Emily Sutherland. I'm the team lead for our FACS Value Added Services team. We're a small but mighty team that implements and supports some of the different products that FACS offers, FACS Giving being one of those. And we use our giving tool to really power the Day of Giving event and have for the last few years. So let's talk about, we'll walk through in a few minutes how you can edit your 2023 National Day of Giving appeal page. But first, let's talk about how to get a custom appeal page. If your school participated in the Day of Giving event in 2022, your account is ready. You can log in at the URL shown on the slide, that https://facsngtadmin.com link that you see there. If for some reason you don't remember your password because it has been a while since the 2022 event, there is a reset password option on the login page. Your username will be your email address. And we can advance to the next one, Beth. If your school did not participate in the 2022 event, you have plenty of time to opt into this year's event. There is a form that you can find at the URL that's listed there. Maybe we can put that in the chat too. I know that form is also linked on the NCEA website. That form will go to my team. It comes to FACS, and we'll use the information that you add to that form to create your account, set up an appeal page for the 2023 event, and we'll let you know when it's ready for you to customize. If you have any questions on either getting into your account that you used last year or on opting into this year's event, you can email the mailbox that you see there, nceagiving@facsngt.com. So let's talk about updating your appeal page. All right. So once you get logged into the portal, either you've logged into the account you used last year, or you've gotten the email from us confirming your account set up, you've gotten logged into your portal, you're going to land on this dashboard. It looks very much like the screenshot that you see there on the slide. You'll see the menu bar across the top. The only thing you need to do is choose Giving on the menu bar, and then you'll choose Appeals in that Giving menu. That's going to take you over to the Appeals area, and we can even jump right to the next slide, Beth. In the Appeals area, oh, go back one more.
Oh, sorry.
In the Appeals area, look for the 2023 Day of Giving appeal page. Day of Giving appeal page, sorry. The screenshot that you see here, that's a school that's participated for the last few years. So you could actually see the end dates on those old appeals, January 2020, February 21, February 22. You see the start date on that last appeal there listed on the far right. That start date of November 14th, 2023, that's your clue that that's your 2023 appeal. You won't be able to do anything until you hover over that appeal. That's when you're going to see some options in the upper right corner of that box. So if you want to edit that appeal, which is the first thing you're going to want to do, click on that pencil icon that you see there. That will get you into the area where you can add those copy and graphics elements that Patrick mentioned. So once you get in, you're going to see some different fields. That screenshot there on the left is probably a little small, but I know we'll send these slides out to you guys, or if you're viewing the recording later, you'll be able to access those slides and zoom in a little bit. And you'll see what this looks like once you get into your appeal page. It's really straightforward. The title will be pre-populated for you, but you're going to see an About area that you can use to let your donors know why you're participating in the Day of Giving. That's limited to 200 characters, but if you need to add more information than that, you've got a a more detailed section below that, which you can add more information to. So say, for example, you want to let donors know how you plan to use the funds raised during this year's event. You know, whatever you need to add there that's really going to tug on their heartstrings and help them make that emotional connection. You've got 5,000 characters for that, the more details, so plenty of room to write a compelling story there. In the goal field, enter the amount that you're hoping to raise with this year's event. That's going to show on the appeal page, and as donations come in, your donors are going to be able to see progress towards your goal, and you'll be able to see that as well. You will see an area below that where you can upload some school logos. You can upload 2 logos that will show in the header of your appeal page. There are 2 logos that will also show in the footer of your appeal page. We've added the NCEA logo as one of the footer logos and the FACTS logo as well. Below those logos, you see an image carousel section. That's where you can add up to 3 images that will display in a carousel, you know, basically a slideshow on that appeal page. It's a great way to show off your school, show off your students. You know, you've got those photos of smiling kids that you want to use those to you know, help donors make that emotional connection to your cause. So add those images in, that'll help that appeal page be even more attractive to your donors. Size and format is shown there. Be sure to click save when you're updating that appeal page. When you click save, you're going to get bounced back out to this main appeal screen. If you've participated in the past, you see those prior appeals. You'll also see the 2023 appeal. This time, let's view that appeal. You want to hover over it again, and instead of clicking on the pencil icon, you're going to click on that arrow. That's going to open that appeal in a new browser tab where you can see what it looks like for your donors. If there are changes you need to make, you can close that tab, go back to the main appeals area, and open that appeal page for it. If you're happy with how it looks, you can, and actually, if you'll go ahead and advance to the next. Oh, sorry, you're ahead of me, Beth. Didn't you had already moved. So when you, if you're set with that appeal page, you don't need to make any more changes. You know, you can copy that URL right from that appeal page. That's going to be key to embedding in some of the kinds of things that Margaret and Patrick were talking about. You know, make sure it's on your website. You can get it in the church bulletin. Make sure it's in school announcements. Send it out in emails, classroom newsletters, all of those kinds of things, social media. That URL is not going to change. That is your URL for the 2023 Day of Giving for your school. So that is the best way to get your donors to your appeal page to give on that day. One of the things Patrick mentioned, creating QR codes. You can create a QR code for that URL because it is not going to change. And that appeal will go live for your donors at noon Eastern time on Tuesday, November 14th. And it will be live to accept donations through noon Eastern time on the 15th. I think that's it. I don't know if we have questions specific to setting up the appeal, or if you want to just, I can toss it back to you, Beth, and go through general questions.
Great, thank you, Emily. Let me take a look here at the questions. All right, we got a few things coming in. A couple people asking about the slides. Yeah, the link to the slides will come out in an email after the end of this webinar, as well as the link to the recording. And then it'll also be available on NCEA's webpage, NCEA's YouTube page. And again, the link to the slides will be located in there as well. Another question, where do we find the kit and what is the website for the tools? Margaret, would you like to take that?
Sure. So you can just go to ncea.org/CSW, and it will take you to the page for everything about Catholic Schools Week. And I know there's 3 buttons across the top. I think it's the middle one. It'll actually bring you, it'll say marketing kit, I think. And you just click on that and it'll be there. Now, I think you might need to give us another day. Literally this morning, we're still going over the kit to make sure that we caught everything. So it should be there in the next day or so.
Yep, it should be up on the website, hopefully by the end of day today, if not tomorrow morning. And then also keep an eye out on your inbox. We're gonna send out a special email that has all the information, including the link to this webinar, as well as the kit and the tools and templates. Another question, is this included in our fax account, or do we have to pay extra for the Day of Giving access? I was gonna let Emily answer it, but
Yeah,
no.
that's right. There is no cost to participate in the Day of Giving event. If you already have fax giving, we can add an appeal page for you to your existing account, and it will, it will work like other appeals you set up for fax giving. But if you don't have fax giving, that's okay. We will still use this platform to set up an appeal page for you. There's no cost to do that. You can opt in via the form on the NCEA website and on the fax website. There's a processing fee that's deducted from the donations that are received, just, your standard credit card and ACH processing fees, but no cost to participate.
Exactly. So every NCEA member school can use this portal page, whether or not they use fax. Great. Let's see. Can you please repeat the URL? Yes, I'm going to send some URLs in the chat right now. Let's see. Make sure it's going to everyone. This first link is the link to the fax page. So this will get you to your appeal page. The link that I'm going to send in right now, Margaret, it's ncea.org/CSW. That will take you to the marketing kit.
I think that first one you pasted in, Beth, is the link to the opt-in page.
Oh, the link to the opt-in page. So for schools that do not have a portal page yet, that is the link for them.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. And if they do have a portal page already?
If they do have a portal page already, faxmgtadmin.com is where they can go to log in.
All right, so I'll shoot that one in the chat too. So you guys can copy and paste whichever one is applicable for you. Melissa wants to know, how do you know if your school is a member in order to gain access to all of these toolkits? My assumption is that if you're on this webinar, your school is most likely an NCEA member because you've gotten communications from us. Margaret, would that be an incorrect assumption?
Yeah, but sometimes even if you just don't remember your login information, or you don't have your member ID, which you do need to get to the marketing kit. So you can email, I think it's services@ncea.org, and that's our member services email, and somebody will get back to you and say, here's your number.
Is it services or is it member services? Let me just double check. I think it might be. You're correct, Margaret. I should always trust you.
No, not always.
So you can reach out to them, as Margaret said, and they'll let you know if you are a member and your member ID if you need it. Sometimes schools aren't always updated, their rosters and things like that. So you might have a member ID and not even know about it.
Right.
Great. Glad we could help, Melissa. Any other questions? I don't see any other coming in, so we'll just give you guys a minute to type if need be. Other than that, I do want to give a special shout out, a thank you to Patrick for joining us and sharing his school and his community's tips and tricks for National Day of Giving. We wish you all the success this year as well. Another thank you to Emily for joining us and really getting into the logistics. Fax really is the powerhouse behind National Day of Giving, and they do so much to really power it. And it's a modern day phone-a-thon, right? So they're essentially doing the calling and the taking the credit card numbers over the phone, right? You're the person they transfer everyone to. So shout out to Fax and Emily's team for that. And Margaret, of course, thank you as always for all of your help. As I mentioned before, keep an eye out on your inbox. The marketing kit and the tools and templates will be coming out soon. And if not in your inbox, then on our website by the end of tomorrow. All right, if that's it, then I will let you all go. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope that this helped. And if you have any questions or need to reach out to any of us, our emails are available on the NCA website, Margaret and I's, and we can get you any information that you need. So best of luck. Thank you all for joining us.
Good luck, everybody.
Welcome. Take care.
Thank you.